Hello, welcome to Time in the Studio. This is a nourishing space for creatives and plant people. Here you will find deep dives into the world of art, herbalism, healing, birth, reproductive justice, social justice, and inspiring ideas for how to take care of yourself, others, and the planet. And if you're new here, hello! I'm Sarah Marie Miller. I'm an artist, herbalist, and postpartum doula. And I'm so excited for today. This is episode 100. And I was torn about what to do for this episode. So I'm sitting on 8 fantastic chats with folks that I need to edit and get out into the world and share with you. And I also started a 100-day project recently and thought it would be fun to do a challenge or something related to that. And then I was looking at my analytics and I saw one of the top episodes was number 69 about how to celebrate your voice and start a podcast. And I still often get questions about this, and it's something I'm so grateful for in my own life and I love doing. So I decided I'm gonna do a little update, like what would I do differently if I was starting a podcast now? What have I evolved over the years? Because it's going on almost 5 years now, which is wild. So a little update. I started reading this book. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it's called Brand Mysticism: Cultivate Creativity and Intoxicate Your Audience. It is a great book. It's by Stephen Grass and Aaron Goldfarb. And it was a really fun read. I plowed through it in a day or two. And in it, he talks about when you build a brand, you're building an onion. And it needs layers and grit and depth. And today I'm going to share how starting your own podcast can help you unravel your own onion, your own brand onion. So, and if you do want to start a podcast, why it might be a good option for you, or maybe not. But yeah, something he talks about onions a little bit in this book, and he describes how in Latin the word for onion is unio, or onion, or unity. And onions have long been considered a mystical object. Ancient Egyptians worshipped onions, and they would take oaths with their right hand on an onion when they took an oath. It was, it's considered this like circle within a circle, and so it symbolized eternal life. And pharaohs were often buried with onions on their eyes, ears, and genitalia, which was kind of interesting. Those were the things they wanted to preserve for all of eternity. Ancient Greeks used onions for divination, also known as chromneomancy, and Russian Orthodox churches, they created their roofs to look like little onions. So it's interesting to think of this onion worship in our culture, or in all cultures throughout time. Oh, and I also wanted to give you another quick update. I've been teaching workshops on kitchen herbalism, gut health, and sleep, as well as some creative workshops. So if you haven't already, be sure to follow me on Instagram and join my newsletter to stay in the know. And you can do that at Sarah Marie Studio on Instagram, or Time in the Studio podcast. And you can join my newsletter at www.adazia.com. So I have lots of updates and things there. Well, okay, that's not really true. Not lots. I try to send out a monthly newsletter. It doesn't always happen, but generally monthly. Okay, a couple notes on podcasting. It is so much fun and it is so much work, but if there's something you're obsessed with and you want to be known for, it is a great way to do that. There are endless opportunities to collaborate with people in your field, and every episode that you create could also be repurposed into something for YouTube, or a reel for Instagram or TikTok. You could put it on Pinterest. Like, it just creates like this little gem of content that you could share in a lot of different ways. I personally don't really do that. I am like, okay, if I get the episode out and upload it and put an image on Instagram, I'm usually done. But I am trying to do a little bit of YouTube as well, and a little TikTok here and there. But if you are good at sharing things in multiple places, that's a great option. Sometimes people say, oh, you need to be everywhere. I just don't have the energy for that, and it's just not my jam. So I find just trying to be where I can be and it feels manageable and doable for me. So I focus on the podcast and posting to Instagram maybe a couple times a week. Oh, something else I put in my notes here that is really interesting is they say about 5 to 6 hours of spoken word is a 100-page book, or if you were to read a 100-page book, it takes 5 to 6 hours. So if you're creating a podcast every week, that could potentially be a foundation for a book. If you transcribe each episode, and I'm going to talk about my favorite app for that, or it can go both ways. You can take your written content and convert that into a podcast and just read it out loud, make videos of what you've already written, or you can create, using your video or audio version, you can create that into a blog post. So I'm starting to do that a little bit with my website. And transcribing your episodes, it is great on multiple levels. I'm still working through this myself, but if you can transcribe your episodes and then share it to your podcast or share it to your website, it is great because it makes your podcast more accessible. I have a friend who is deaf, and I'm just realizing, whoa, so much of my work is not very accessible for the deaf community, and I would love to improve that. And win-win, if you transcribe your episode, it's great for SEO on your website too. So I also like to give people just the lowdown. Okay, if you're thinking of starting a podcast, it is a lot of work. When I first started, I was probably spending about 10 to 20 hours per episode on researching, communicating with people back and forth, recording, editing, creating images, sharing those to social media, cha-cha-cha. I definitely have slimmed that down, and I'm kind of getting more and more streamlined with it and figuring out ways that I can save time in my communication with people and in my editing process. So now I probably am down to about 5 hours per episode, and I could do more on sharing it to multiple platforms, but I'm just choose your battles. So it is a commitment, and it does not always pay off right away. So I just want to compel you, do something that you are super, super into. I think doing it for intrinsic motivation and your inner calling and not for money. So I would say, do a podcast if you're feeling called or pulled to it, not if you're feeling pushed to it. So that's kind of something to notice. Do I feel called to do this podcast, or is it should? Do you feel like you should do it, but you don't really want to do it? Because I think doing it because you love it is really helpful. A few other questions you could ask yourself: what do you want to be known for in 10 years? What do you want your business to look like? Who do you want to talk to? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to learn? What are you obsessed with? What would you love to help people with? Yeah, those are a few of the questions that I think could potentially help you figure out the focus of your podcast. So I think it is helpful to get a little, dial it in a little bit. It'll refine itself as you go along, and you can always keep changing things. You can change the name of your podcast. You can change your branding, your colors, your fonts, who you're talking to, whether you're doing solo episodes or group episodes or guest episodes. You can keep evolving and changing your podcast as you go, and your brand is going to keep changing. You're going to keep changing. We never step into the same river twice. Everything's always changing. So I think just getting started and dive in and just decide if this feels right to you. Decide to do it. And, answering some of those questions. One thing that could be helpful at kind of narrowing that down a little bit, think of who are top 20 people you want to talk to. If you want to do guest episodes, who are 20 people you would love to get to talk to? Or if you want to do solo episodes, what are 20 little things that you would love to talk about? Get into, in postpartum, if I wanted to do a show on postpartum, what do I want to talk about postpartum? Breastfeeding, nursing, nourishment, nutrition, herbs. There's just, so many different ways. Childcare, partner communications. Like you could just do, I know multiple people that do a show just on postpartum or like one aspect of postpartum. You know, if you wanted to talk about art, you could focus on design or graphic design or printmaking or pottery. So I think niching down a little bit, oftentimes people say the riches are in the niches, and I think that is true. I have struggled with this my whole life. I love different things, and I'm learning ways to like weave those together. So I'm finding like I just love things related to healing, beauty, creativity, and taking care of the birth portal, like that liminal space of like pregnancy and fertility and postpartum, and also, just reproductive rights. So it can go in a lot of different directions. Okay, so you have your list of 20 people you want to talk to. You can reach out to them, see who will actually talk to you, and just start putting out episodes. Okay, I jump ahead a little bit. One thing I do, you can record on your computer. If you want to get a mic, I love the Yeti mic, Blue Yeti. It's a great one. Just keep the gain all the way down. And then Boya also has a great clip-on mic. You could use that, B-O-Y-A, if you want a clip-on mic. But you don't even need that. You could just record on your computer. Just turn on your computer, press record. If you're talking to doing an interview, I love Google Meet. If you pay for a paid subscription, I think it's $9 a month, and you can record your conversations. Or you can do Zoom. I've been having issues with Zoom lately, so I don't always love Zoom, but that's fine. But you can just record a conversation and then take that recording, drop it into Descript. It's my favorite app, and it allows you to edit video and audio just by editing the words. So it like cuts out, if you want to cut out a sentence, cut it out. It cuts it out of the video and the audio. It is like magic, and it has saved me so many hours. And I don't know, it's maybe $10 a month or something. It is the best app in the world. They used to not have an affiliate program. They just started having one recently, and I am going to be an affiliate, so I'll include an affiliate link for that. If you are interested, it doesn't cost you anything. It just would give me like a little kickback. So if that feels good, you can click on that link. And then you need a place to host the episodes somewhere. So it could be, a really popular one is Buzzsprout, or Anchor is free, or Captivate. I use Simplecast. It's fine. It's not exceptional, but it's fine. It works good. And then you just upload your episode. You can do unique show images, unique images for each episode. You could do a drawing in Procreate if you're an artist and want to do something visual. You could do a photograph. You could just, I use Canva, and I just edit an image in Canva. You can just choose a template and then drag and drop things. So, if you wanted to just be really consistent, just choose one template, and then all you have to do is change the name of the guest, if you're doing guest episodes, or the name of the episode, and an image. Easy peasy. So great. Canva is so worthwhile. Canva and Descript and Google Meet are my 3 apps that you pretty much need for podcasting, in my opinion. Google Meet or Zoom. But why are you doing all this work? You get to practice so many skills. You get to practice public speaking, design, copywriting, writing, audio and video editing, researching and interviewing skills. Like I get to practice all these things each week, and it's incredible. It gets better over time, in theory. Sometimes I'm like, am I getting better? But I'm having fun. So you also get to collaborate with the coolest people in your field. Almost anyone that I've communicated with and asked if they want to be on the podcast has done it, especially if you aren't in a rush. If you're like, hey, want to talk anytime in the next 6 months? Almost every single person I've ever asked to be on this podcast has been like, sure, yeah. Because you're not in a rush. If you're like, I need to talk to you tomorrow, odds are not as good. But I also love trading podcasts with people. That is my favorite thing in many ways, because other podcasters know how much work it is to put out a podcast. And so they are so good about sharing the episode, and you learn so much about how you can improve your process by seeing how other people work their process for their podcast. So for an example, I used to just do emails back and forth 17 times with people to figure out when to talk. That was a nightmare. I hate email. Almost everyone hates emailing. And it was not fun. So now I just set up a Calendly link. It's free. You could do the paid version, but I just do the free version of Calendly. And then I'm just like, hey, here's a link to schedule. And then I have like 1 or 2 days a week that I will talk to people. And then they just find a time. Boop, beep, bop, boop, bop. And then they select a time. And it's not 17 emails back and forth. That has been like life-changing. Calendly, just be able to schedule automatically. So good. Another thing that has been really helpful that I just started actually. So I had a Google Doc of like possible questions and just giving people the layout of like what to expect, what to send me. And then I had an interview with somebody, did a podcast trade, and they have a Google form, and they just had me fill out everything in the Google form. They explained, a little bit about their process and like what they need, like third person bio, a photo of you, whatever else you want to include. Is it okay to do YouTube? And do you promise to share this episode somewhere? So just like little things like that, having a Google form that people can just fill out. Oh my God. So good. So helpful. So those are a couple things that I've really found beneficial. I also created a Google Doc, a spreadsheet, and I just did a list on the left-hand side, the list of like the 20 dream people you want to talk to. And then I do following columns. I'll do a column of contacted, accepted interview, scheduled interview, recorded interview, edited interview, uploaded to podcast host, made an image for it, shared it to the world, shared it to somewhere else like Instagram. And that is great because then it's almost like this Kanban board or whatever those are called. And you just can click on, like I just color it in for each guest. Like, okay, I've gone through this whole process. And it just helps you to get more clarity about what needs to get done and is it getting done and where are you in the process. So yeah, I love podcast trades. You learn so much, it refines your process, and it brings out a different side of your story that you don't necessarily do when you do solo episodes. And it makes you realize, whoa, I know a few things and it's fun to share about them. So it helps you be known for something. You know, I'm getting more known for herbalism and flower essence support and creativity and art workshops and herbal workshops and nutrition. So it's just, and postpartum doula work and sleep. So it's really fun. It also increases the visibility and depth of your brand. So kind of going back to that idea of the onion, like doing a podcast builds in these layers of depth into your brand, because like, what are you about? What do you want to talk about? What kind of conversations are you having? And people can hear your voice. If you're doing a video, they can see you. They can understand like a little bit more of like the depth of who you are and what you're working on, what you care about, what your mission is. You also get to keep spiraling deeper into topics. So I oftentimes teach about, similar things where I'm really focused on gut health and sleep, because those are just foundational things you can always improve. If you improve those, you improve everything else. And as I teach those, I keep getting better at teaching, and I keep learning more, and it keeps refining, and it's just really fun. So as if you did a podcast about gut health, you get to keep spiraling deeper into that topic and learning more ways you can share and be effective. And, you get to play with storytelling and connecting with other people connected to that theme if you're doing guest episodes. So it's just so much fun. You get to keep learning from people, expanding your friend circle. You get to be a curator of people that you care about. So I'm trying to do more local chats with people in the Boulder area, because then you get to showcase local people. So, I think a lot of times we forget, if you focus on where you're at, that's building your community and your network, and it's just fun. Okay, I think I talked about this a little bit already, but yes, so you can use your audio to create a book. If you're focused on a topic like gut health, and you do, an hour every week of kind of maybe around the same topic, but different strands, focusing on different elements of gut health, you could end up with a book at the end of a year, a very long book, and, edit it down. But with these transcripts from each episode, if you have a transcript and then you edit that and you're putting that together, you could, turn that into a book. Also, having a podcast is a method to advertise your products and services. I haven't done this a ton, but, it's a great option. So, yeah, speaking of which, I'm about to launch an offering of flower essence sessions, and it's going to be available first to my email newsletter subscribers and Patreon subscribers, and then I will share it to Instagram and my website. So yes, stay up to date if you want to join my email list. You'll be the first to know. I'm also about to start launching my pottery, which I have not made available to the world in many, many years, and that's going to, again, first be available to Patreon folks, and then to newsletter subscribers, and then I'll share it to my Instagram in the world. But yeah, really exciting. Okay, so I talked about that. Make your dream list. Okay, so here's a quick rundown of questions to ask and how to get started. Just going to do a quick summary. What are you obsessed with? What do you want to be known for in 10 years? How would you love to help people? Who would you love to talk to? What do you want to learn more about? Answer those 5 questions and you will have a little glimpse into what your podcast should be about. What are you obsessed with? What do you want to be known for in 10 years? How do you love helping people? Who do you want to talk to? What do you want to learn more about? So for me, I was like, art, herbalism, doula work. Those are like my obsessions. Like, I want to be known for being an awesome doula, artist, educator, herbalist, nutritionist, and helping people feel awesome. And I want to talk to those people. I want to talk to creatives and plant people and birth workers. So that's what this is. Okay, then you make your list of 20 dream guests. You can pick a name. You can always change it. Look for something that isn't already out there. Do some searches. Can this be my name? If you, check for the domain, check for the Instagram, and then buy the domain, buy the Instagram, and then, this is a silly note I wrote to myself, pick under 3 colors and under 3 fonts. So for me, when I was building my brand to start about 5 years ago, I was like, I still haven't decided on my brand colors and my brand fonts. So under 3 for each, just to start. And you can always, venture out beyond that, but that's something I wish I had nailed down a little bit more, but that's fine. Then just start recording. And you can do it on Zoom or Google Meet or just on your computer. If you are using Descript, you can use it in Descript if you're doing solo episodes. Then edit in Descript. It will make your life 7,000 million 100 times better. Oh my God. Oh my God. I used to edit in GarageBand and I would listen. Oh, I said stop. Then listen, start the recording, stop it at the end of and then cut, and then delete. Oh my God. It was ridiculous. It was. So yeah, I used to spend like 20 hours editing each episode, which you can't even tell. If you listen back, you would never be like, oh wow, she did a great job editing. No, it still sounded not great. So anyway, get to script. There will be an affiliate link somewhere around. And they used to not have an affiliate link, and I still just love them. And it's just an extra bonus that they now do affiliates. Anyway, okay, so edit into script, and then you can pick your podcast host, Anchor, Buzzsprout, Captivate, Simplecast, and then if you want to use Canva to create your show art, or you could do it in Procreate, do little drawings for each episode or something. That could be fun, a fun way to explore your creativity. And then yeah, you can change the title of your show, you can change your colors, you can change your fonts, your logos. Just get started. Just do it. Just if you feel called to do it, if you feel pulled to do it, do it. It is so fun. It is so rewarding. It does not make me very much money, to be honest, but I don't care. Life is not just about money, and it has created so much richness in my life in terms of just the texture of relationships and conversations I get to have with people. And, I think it's going to be more beneficial as I offer more things. I've been limited in what I'm offering people. I really mostly offer overnight care, and I work with one family for 3 months. So I don't have I'm not working with a lot of people. I'm starting to make that a little more available. I'm going to release a tea blend soon. I'm going to release a couple products and make a couple offers available. So, very exciting. Okay, so I think that's a very long episode. Okay, here we go. I just want you to know thank you for being here, and thank you all of you who listen, share, rate, and review the podcast. It makes a huge difference, and I deeply appreciate your enthusiasm for the show. And if you super duper love the show and want to support with a few bucks each month, you can join at patreon.com/timeinthestudio. Lots of new juicy things going to be happening there. I'm going to start a book club and a monthly Q&A and maybe some other fun things. And thank you for listening. You can connect with me on Instagram at Thyme in the Studio Podcast or at Sarah Marie Studio. And big shout out to Aaron Travers of the band Emptier for the show music. And I would like to acknowledge the people of the Ute, Arapaho, and Cheyenne Nations where this podcast was recorded, and it is oftentimes currently known as Boulder, Colorado. And I pay respect to elders past, present, and emerging. I'm Sarah Marie Miller. You've been listening to Thyme in the Studio. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing what you do. May our efforts benefit all beings. Take care. Toodles.